What's happening, America? Arthur Robb, baby. I am back for this fun-filled Friday episode of Happy Friday, America. Had a great time across the pond, but we got business to handle in here, and I'm just really happy to be back recording on the mics. Across the table, I got Mr. Traeger Time Batstone.
Well, happy Friday, America. Happy Friday, Art. It's good to have you back in the DCPC studios, cranking out some content this week. And happy Labor Day weekend, America.
Yes, a nice long weekend for all, and I'm sure that we've been working hard and deserve it. So moving into the first topic of here, we didn't have it last week, and first I do want to say a big thanks to our friend Clint Gershenson for being the surprise co-host of Happy Friday last week. What a fun episode.
He did great.
He did do great. He brought in the energy with some great articles. So
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gershenson.
Solid lad.
Bringing in August 30th in history. This first one is pretty interesting, so I had to throw it in here all the way back to the year 1146.
Damn.
European leaders outlaw the crossbow, intending to end war for all time.
Outlawing the crossbow. How'd that work out? We got crossbows everywhere, buddy.
Yeah, and not only that, but they didn't know about the black powder and how this was going to keep blowing up. And now wars are fought every single day, every single where. It's kind of disappointing, but at least they had the intent back then.
Yes.
Going to 1850, Honolulu, Hawaii becomes a city.
That's kind of a big deal.
So that's when that was founded. 1890, President Benjamin Harrison signs the first U.S. law requiring inspection of meat products.
So like the USDA, basically.
Yeah.
The
So
United
it's
States
like,
Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, I accidentally typed in mean products, but it was meat products.
I'm glad you were aware of that.
You know, and I wonder about how the food regulation, that's a whole side topic.
It's not regulated well enough.
Yeah, I mean Kellogg and all the like they're feeding sugar, like it's
garbage.
It's odd. But moving into the First World War, 1914, the first German plane bombs Paris, killing 2. That's today in history. Wild times. I mean, I didn't even get into recent times here, but a lot happened on August 30th.
Nice juicy day. End out the month of August. Get ready for Labor Day and September. All right, baseball fans, this is a pretty cool story right here. So for the first time in Major League Baseball history, we had a player play for 2 different teams in the same game.
Okay.
Right?
Really?
So, yeah, it's never happened before. I mean, the circumstances here, there had to be a few things for this to actually happen. So Danny Jansen is a gentleman that plays in the Major League Baseball for the Boston Red Sox, my kind of home team, if you will, even though I grew up a Yankees fan. So there was a game that was played back in June, and it got rain delayed.
Okay.
And usually, they'll make it up later in the season. Sometimes they do a doubleheader. Well, Danny Jansen, who was the catcher at the time, right, he was doing his thing in this game, going about trade deadline hit, end of July. He gets traded to the Toronto Blue Jays. Okay?
During the game?
Well, so it got delayed. They were going to run the game a month later as a makeup.
Okay, I see.
To make the game up. They resumed it in the 4th inning. However, this Danny Jansen feller got traded to the Blue Jays during that period of the trade deadline, and when that game resumed, he was then on the other side playing for the opposing team.
That is pretty interesting.
First time ever.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for the rain delay, it wouldn't have happened.
Wouldn't have happened. In the same game, yeah. I mean, you've had a player play for the Sox that gets traded, and then we'll play that team later in the year in a different game. But in the same game, he played 4 innings for the Sox, and then he played the final 5 with...
Who ended up winning?
The Toronto Blue Jays ended up winning this game 4-1.
Okay, that's a pretty interesting story.
Pretty fun.
There was actually a lot of, as I was perusing through the Today in History stuff, there was a lot of MLB
Baseball
things.
Stuff.
Yeah, a lot of things like that. So, favorite sport across the globe for sure.
Pastime.
Pastime.
America's favorite pastime.
Is it America's favorite?
That's what they say.
Like football is America's.
I think it is now.
Yeah.
But I think baseball still has so many more years that football is catching up to that.
I see. That does make sense. This next one here is a fun scientific article. It sounds like you were somewhat familiar with this operation. I just was learning about it, but we're looking at this. Fallout from NASA's asteroid-smashing DART mission could hit Earth, potentially triggering the first human-caused meteor shower. So there's a good amount of information in here. I put some bullet points in here. So this happened in 2022. We sent the DART mission, the asteroid deflector, you could say, 7 million miles away from Earth. It successfully impacted this asteroid out there, and throwing it into a bunch of different shrapnel pieces and stuff. So what we're looking at is it was called Dimorphos, was the name of the asteroid that it hit. And at that time, the rocket that hit it was going 15,000 miles per hour.
Damn.
It impacted it, and it was the first test of humanity's capability to redirect potentially hazardous asteroids. And like I mentioned, it was a success, which is really cool. So some of the debris from this collision could potentially come into Earth and Mars's atmospheres. These smaller chunks are moving much faster than the big ones. The smaller ones are moving at about 3,300 miles per hour. Those ones probably won't really be visible once they hit the atmosphere, but some of the larger fragments definitely could. Those ones are moving about 4 times less the speed, is what they're saying. And potentially within the next 30 years, that's a long time out.
It is.
But potentially in the next 30 years, there could be the very first man-made asteroid shower from this DART mission, which is all just kind of cool. This happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And like I didn't even realize that this was a thing.
I mean, I didn't know to this extent per se.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it's capable of doing. You know, as far as cleaning up some space debris, if you will, or hazardous threats that are out in the spaceways. We've been having a lot of lunar talks here on the past few weeks of Happy Friday. A lot of space conversations happening. We had, you know, Elon's going up to save NASA's deal. He's going to rescue those guys from SpaceX. We got this going on. We got a lot of things going on. We got Mars, finding all that water out there.
Mm-hmm.
The space exploration and some of the things we can do out there is pretty amazing. I want to know, how did they clock this thing at 15,000 miles? Was it an estimate, you think?
I mean, that's how fast the space rock was moving. I mean, I don't think it's an estimate, because what they're doing is, you know, with the satellites, they can map the trajectory. I mean, if they're able to hit the thing with the rocket, then they know exactly where it's going to be at based upon the speed. So
that's incredible speed.
Yeah. So the DART, the DART hit its target successfully, which is super interesting. You know, we're in our late 30s. We could potentially see this happen in our lifetime.
Yeah, I suppose if it happens in 30 years, we'll be retired, sitting on a beach somewhere, hopefully.
Yep, hopefully, man.
When all that's going down.
Hopefully, and who knows what other kind of like you know, Earth-saving rocket missions might happen in that time, and just kind of interesting stuff. Truly amazing that we're able to have that kind of reach, 7 million miles away from our planet, hitting this stuff. So
pretty amazing.
So that is pretty crazy. I thought once I saw that, I had to throw it in here.
That's a fun article.
So from 7 million miles away to way back in time, we got our next article.
That's right. We're going to keep moving. We're going to talk a little bit of booze. I'm not drinking it, but hopefully all of you are. Pretty cool stuff here. Cognac, you know, a little bit of that in my world and my commodities. We have the oldest bottle known of cognac that just sold for $146,000 at auction. It's said to be about 328 years old, which would put it back to the year of 1696.
Okay.
Obviously, we know alcohol making goes much further back, you know, to old school, you know, what we'd call prison wine and some of the things that they make these days. Alcohol's been around for a long time, but this thing is the oldest bottle of cognac known, and it just went for almost $150K back in 2020, which is pretty wild when you think about it. And for folks that don't really know what cognac is, I don't know if you've ever tasted it.
Isn't it like a type of bourbon type of thing? But it's sweet.
It's a sweet. It's like brandy.
Okay.
It's a form of brandy that's twice distilled, and it's like champagne, where it has to be made in France to be called a certain thing.
Okay.
It has to have that French origin to hold the name of cognac. Over there in France. So kind of a fun thing, I thought. You can scroll down, click the link, take a look at the bottle.
Are they drinking this, though? Or,
I don't know.
Or is it just like a shelf piece?
I feel like it's going to be more of a shelf piece.
Like an heirloom, like you hand it down, like here's the oldest bottle of cognac that exists.
Yep.
See, here's the thing. Like if I had the money to afford to buy this thing, like I would try it.
You'd want to taste it, I think.
I would want to taste it.
I've never tasted something
I would want to
old.
give it a try, because it's like you just buying it to look at it, like you know, maybe the bottle's really cool looking.
It probably is.
There wasn't a picture in the article.
Yeah, if you scroll down and take a look, you'll see it here in the show notes. You know, booze definitely has a value when it gets older, right? 30-year Scotch is going to go for a couple $100 for 30 years of age. I mean, think about it, it's 30 years it's been sitting around. This thing is 328 years old of age. on this alcohol. I can only imagine. I'm sure the proof content's much higher with all that age on it. I just don't know if the flavor profile is going to be there from that many years ago.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about it. And talking about price, flavor profiles, I'm definitely never going to be paying no $200 and something for Floyd Mayweather's champagne.
Yep, the good money champagne. Yeah, Arthur's not drinking it, apparently.
No, man. No, I'm not paying that much money for a headache in a bottle, basically, is what champagne does anyway.
It pretty much does. It is good, though. I mean, when drink responsibly.
Yeah.
A little flute to celebrate an event.
Yeah, just a little something.
Don't make a whole night out of it.
But you can spend like 200 something bucks on a.
It's another shelf piece thing.
Yeah, like if you got the money to spend.
Yeah. Oh, there's a market.
If you got the money to spend,
there is a market.
Then maybe you're living in a new place every 6 months. How the would you rather look from last week?
So the results are in it's extremely confusing. Would you rather?
I didn't answer that. I'm taking the 6 month option.
Okay, so
I'm going 6 months.
Yeah, that's what Clint and I took.
Yeah, so unanimous.
For folks who didn't catch Art's ridiculously long and confusing would you rather last week, that Clint had to take notes just to answer it, and he still missed some notes in the process. Basically, what we asked the viewers to make it real simple is, would you rather have your forever home, at any value, anywhere you want in the world, but you can only kind of travel within a small region of that community, or move every 6 months to anywhere you want in the world, any house you want, basically just live it up, but you have to move every 6 months.
Yeah.
You and I are taking the 6 months. Clint took the 6 months. The viewers went 50-50.
Really?
50-50 America went. They're going to half of them are going, half of them are staying.
I mean, hey, I can't blame them, because honestly, you get like a super bitchin' place, like a really nice location, and you can travel within that zip code, and you have all the nice restaurants. Like that's all within the rules.
Yeah.
And like it is a pain in the ass to move, but hey, that's last week's Would You Rather. This week's Would You Rather is food based.
This one's almost as ridiculous.
And it's a shitty food. It's shitty food. So you can only eat this type of food for the rest of your life. So you can only eat Chef Boyardee for the rest of your life, like the canned pasta, Chef Boyardee. You could have like all the mac and cheese, whatever flavors they got.
Beefaroni, baby.
Yeah, which is your favorite Chef Boyardee?
The classic.
Like the
classic ravioli.
How about the mini ravioli?
Those are good too.
It tastes the same as the classic. It's just mini.
They're just you can get more in your mouth.
I like the mini. It's always fun when you can get more in your mouth.
You like the mini in your mouth?
That's kind of fun.
Hey, look, all sizes need to go somewhere.
But I'll get the meatballs.
Oh yeah.
The meatball, and like that one's pretty good.
Do they make SpaghettiOs? Is that Chef Boyardee or is that a different company?
No, that's SpaghettiOs.
That's its own brand?
That's O's.
Okay. All right. So those are not included.
No, you can only eat Chef Boyardee for the rest of your life.
Or
Cup of Noodles. So the Cup of Noodles.
Those are terrible.
I love the Cup of Noodles.
Do you?
I love the Cup of Noodles. You got like the shrimp, you got the beef, you got the chicken, you got like the creamy chicken ones. You got all these different flavors of the Cup of Noodles. They have like the dried vegetables in there and like the kind of dried protein and stuff too, whatever that is.
I don't know what it is. I'll get the spicy one.
So, hey, you could get whichever one you want, but you're eating that type of product for the rest of your life. So are you going Chef Boyardee for the rest of your life, or are you going Cup of Noodles? Which one is it?
Well, I think that both of them are going to lead to probably some form of obesity and some other health problems eating this for
like
for
too
life.
Much sodium, like you're going
sodium intake
through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking heartburn city here. It's agita, baby. It's agita. Because I have to pick, I'm going to go with the Chef Boyardee.
You're going with the chef, huh?
I mean, a cup of noodles, sure, it might hit every once in a while. You want like a hot cup of soup or something. But I feel like the Boyardee, because there is a lot of varieties there with the ravioli, with the beefaroni and some of the other shit that they have.
Like the macaroni too.
Yeah, they got a lot going on.
Different flavors.
It's not, and they're pretty cheap. It's it's fairly cheap. I'd rather not eat either for the rest of my life, but I'm taking the chef, baby.
Chef Boyardee.
Chef Boyardee for the win.
Okay, well here I don't know. You can't say it's for the win because we're split.
Okay.
I'm going Cup of Noodles.
I had a feeling.
So we're 50-50 on this episode right now.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments or on X. We're gonna put up the poll. You going Chef Boyardee for the rest of your life, or you going Cup of Noodles? That's the Would You Rather for this week.
Let's go Team Chef Boyardee, baby.
Okay,
let's go. I want the win next week.
Okay, what we got next? We got a rare Bronze Age jar smash by 5-year-old in museum.
So this is actually a pretty funny story.
Okay.
And I would encourage folks to go down and read the whole thing. I just kind of, picked out some of the highlights for discussion points. So a 5-year-old boy was on a guided tour to a museum in Israel. Quite a very old museum that's been around for a long time, and it commemorates some things dated between, kind of around the time we were talking about in history here, the 1100s to the 1500s BC.
Yeah.
So actually, that's even even before we were talking about in Today in History. But in any case, there was a lot of exhibits, and this kid was kind of goofing around as any 5-year-old would do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
having a good time.
I'm surprised I didn't knock more shit off the shelves when I was 5 walking around the grocery stores. You know, you just want to touch everything. Well, the boys smashed an artifact that goes back quite a ways. Okay, it had been in this museum for 35 years. It was dated back to the dates I said before.
Mm-hmm.
He smashed it. The museum's not. This was a obviously very expensive piece.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be interesting if it happened to an adult. I feel like an adult would get a bigger punishment, of course.
Yeah.
There wasn't any punishment that was handed down. In fact, they've invited him back for another visit.
I blame the museum.
For allowing people to get that close to the artifacts?
Yeah, like, don't you think if you had this type of artifact that you would have accounted for the fact that there's going to be families, that there's going to be young children, that young children are rambunctious and generally cause destruction? So I blame the museum for not properly containing this thing, and it's their fault. It's not the kid's fault. I blame the museum and the parents.
I would put the blame on the parents as well. You got to keep your kid tightened up when you're going into places like that. I mean, I remember as a kid, it was like you break it, you buy it kind of thing. Now, granted, that wasn't a museum. That was at like the supermarket or something. But the fact remains, you got to tighten that up.
Yeah.
You can't be breaking shit in a museum that's that old.
No.
It's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, well, I agree.
And it tells a story from a long, long time ago. I mean, they said this thing was discovered during excavations in Samaria, in central Israel.
That's wild. That is wild. And, the saying goes, like, you should never get upset at a kid's joy, or like when they're having fun and they're making a lot of noise with joy and this and that. But, I'm just going to go ahead and say it here. I'm so happy.
I'm waiting for it.
I'm so happy that I'm not a parent and that I'm not chasing my kids around. But if I was a parent, like, I don't think I would just, like, let my kid, like, I think I would be one of the parents that, like, leashes them up a little bit. Like, get back over here.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm going to leash this kid until they're behaving properly.
Yeah.
Until that dog, you could trust the dog to follow you and follow your commands, you're staying on the leash.
Keep them on the leash and like I said last week, keep the balls on the dog. Let's keep them on.
Okay.
Pro balls here.
Okay, so we're going from children breaking things to grown-ass men also causing destruction.
This is pretty funny.
So this is stupid. This is just ridiculous. So two men, and these guys are in their 30s. There's like a 31-year-old and a 37-year-old. Grown-ass men.
Let's go ahead and get their names out. What are their names?
So we got Wyatt Clifford, 37 years old, and then Peyton David Guy Cosper. That's quite the name.
Peyton David Guy Cosper.
Yeah,
that's his name.
Yep.
He's 31.
31 years old. These two gentlemen are currently accused, even though there's video of this shit happening on social media, but they're accused of damaging a 140 million year old rock formation in a national park. They may face up to 10 years in prison for this. Okay.
Pretty extreme.
But okay.
They're messing with sacred land, though.
Yeah, I understand, but like, okay, so when I was a kid, and that's the funny thing about this is they're like grown ass men. When I was a kid, like, of course you want to push the boulder down the hill.
Oh yeah.
And watch it roll
into the
down.
lake or something.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's like it's going.
Yeah.
And like, even as a grown man, like, I would still find joy in just seeing something roll down a hill. Have you rolled down a hill yourself as an adult?
Oh yeah, we did it at the old studio in the park there,
and we were both laughing the whole time.
I was pretty dizzy, but yeah,
it was so much fun. But so this happened in, let me find the park name here.
I think it was
the Redstone Dunes Trail
at Lake Mead.
Lake Mead on April 7th. This happened. The result had damages of more than $1,000, so it probably went through and like hit some barricades of some sort. It caused some damage in the park.
Some signage.
And it sounds like some of the other park patrons took a video of this happening.
Good for them.
And so
they're accountable.
They're going to be facing trial in October on October 8th. These two guys are from Las Vegas area. They're both from Nevada.
We're going to need a follow-up.
And they're getting accused of depredation of government property, and one is aiding and abetting. So you got kids in museums breaking ancient artifacts, and then you got grown-ass adults messing and around with 140 million year old rock formations.
Yeah, shame on these guys first of
Yeah.
all, and I hope justice is served. I mean, you're not supposed. It's like we talked about a few weeks ago with the music video that was shot, where they were kind of messing with the sand dunes.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Katy Perry wasn't
with,
it?
with Katy Perry. I mean, obviously it wasn't her doing; it was her team. But I haven't heard any results from that. But the fact remains, it's posted. Don't go in here. Don't touch our stuff. You know, this is a sacred piece of land. We don't want you messing with the rocks. And then, you know, this piece of evidence of video and pictures of these guys.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you screwed yourself. Everyone's got a camera now. You're not getting away with shit like this. And they're probably going to use the patrons' footage and whatnot to convict in court.
Yeah, of course the article title is going to be a little bit clickbaity, saying that they could face up to 10 years. They're probably not going to face that much time.
They probably won't get that.
They are probably going to have to pay a pretty dime, though, for that $1,000 plus, like, whatever other damages.
Yeah.
So, you know, once we're in our 20s, like, we should have a little bit more maturity, especially in these public places. Like, you know, if you're on some private land and, you know, it's like, whatever, watch the rocks roll. But if you're on a national park site that is cherished for its million-year-old rock formations, like, you got to tighten up.
You got to tighten up for sure.
You got to tighten up.
I mean, there's grown people doing looting and turning cars over and rioting and shit, you know, just causing destruction in the streets. I reckon that these fellers would probably be the type to do that. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they see some jail time, you know. I mean, look, it's clearly posted. You can't be doing this. They knew what they were doing was wrong. It's on video. You guys are screwed. Guilty as charged.
One was a skinny one was a big boy. I could see them being like the adult Beavis and Butthead. You know?
Man, I hope that show comes back
That
for
was
some more
that
episodes.
was a fun show, man. We used to watch that every single Thursday before the episode would drop.
I know. Come on, we need to get more of those episodes rolling.
That stuff's good,
Come
man.
on, Mike Judge.
And moving into a very American subject, we're going to the bald eagles.
What a great story I found here. I love bald eagles. It's the official bird of this beautiful country, the USA, baby.
I always get so excited when I see them in the wild.
They're amazing.
And honestly, like, I know it's not in America, but Vancouver, Canada, you're going to see them guaranteed almost every single day out there.
Bald eagles are incredible.
If you're looking.
They're incredible creatures. And there was some watching going on out in Missouri, just right over there by Wilson's Creek National Battlefield out there in Missouri, and they noticed that an eagle wasn't doing well.
Okay.
They're like, this thing seems injured. He's not doing well. He's not behaving. Kind of like when we saw the geese out front. You could just tell that one wasn't doing well. And so, you know, it's a bald eagle. They're protected under the American Bald Eagle Foundation. You know, it's a very sacred animal here. So they took it in, and they're like, well, what's going on with this thing? So the first thing, of course, they did an x-ray. You know, see if he had any broken bones. He would fly into something. And they found a raccoon paw in his tummy.
Okay.
He ate a raccoon, and they were able to determine the paw was. So basically, he overate.
Okay.
He ate this raccoon, this massive animal, because, you know, the predators, they're out there on the prowl. They're trying to eat. So he scarfed this thing down. He was too fat to fly, Art. That's what it came down to.
Really?
He was too full. You know, like that Thanksgiving meal where you can't get off the couch watching football, and you're just done.
You're just sleeping. You're like, let me sit down and watch some of the game, and then all of a sudden
You're done.
Your niece is getting a video of you snoring on the couch sitting up.
It's basically what happened to this bird. He could not take off for flight. They thought it was hurt. Turns out he ate a big old raccoon. Hopefully this animal is recovered and he has resumed flight, but just kind of a funny American article here to close it out.
Yeah, that is a good one, man. And with a great weekend coming up, a nice long weekend coming up, there's some stuff happening here. We got the ARC Music Fest. What does ARC stand for?
It stands for something. I just call it the ARC Music Fest because I think that's what it's referred to.
ARC Music Fest in Chicago. That's tomorrow.
That is going down.
What kind of music is ARC music?
Well, I think ARC represents, you know, the festival itself. Like they always name these festivals weird shit.
I wanted to see. I was picturing like like the RV car, like the little AC. I'm tongue twisted. You know the ones that you control with like a remote control. RC.
Oh, the RC cars.
Yeah, RC cars. I was like, that'd be kind of
cool.
cool. Like a cool festival. I saw these RC battleships where they had like little BB guns and they're like all shooting each other on this little lake, and they were sinking RC battleships and stuff like
with BBs.
Yeah, and they all like shooting each other.
That's pretty cool.
That was a cool video to watch.
I would show up for that.
If they got one of those festivals going on this weekend, that would be fun to go to. But moving on, we got the Texas Food Fest in Dallas. That's on Sunday. They're only doing it on Sunday?
Yeah, it's just going on. Well, it starts Sunday. So
the
Texas Fest begins Sunday, and it goes on through the 12th. So your first day to get some of that delicious cuisine there. Man, Texas has some good food, too.
They do.
They just know how to do things. You got Tex-Mex. You got traditional barbecue, Texas smokehouse.
Them briskets. I went to a really good place out there near Katy, Texas, and that brisket I had at that place
Probably the best.
was so good.
I've gone on record to say it. Texas barbecue is the best in the country. Kansas City, you're second. Fight me. I don't care.
What's third? What's
I
third?
would say Carolina's third.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would put, as American barbecue, Texas, KC, Carolina, and then you start working in like the different renditions of like Alabama's in there.
Yeah.
St. Louis, but St. Louis is basically Kansas City. You're just trying to be cool.
I see.
You know.
And where's the race happening this week?
It's the final race of the regular season, Art.
Okay.
This is your last chance to make the playoffs. It is getting heated. Harrison Burton wins the race last week. He is in. Who's going to make the playoffs? Is Bubba Wallace going to be in, or is Chris Buescher in? It is down to that. I'm kind of pulling for Bubba. I think he can do it this weekend. It's in Darlington, South Carolina. The Southern 500 is a tradition of Labor Day weekend, Art.
What are you cooking for that?
That's a good question.
Traeger time, Batstone.
Oh, you're right. I got to fire the Traeger.
What are you going to do?
So I had a memory pop up last year when we were out at my place. I did the smoked meatloaf. Remember that?
Oh, that was really good. That was
I
really
think
good.
I could do that again, but it needs tweaking.
Yeah.
I got to adjust it a little bit. I might go for another one.
Okay.
Smoked meatloaf, baby, on the Traeger time with Kev.
I like that. I do like that. And, of course, long Labor Day weekend. Hope everyone has a nice, safe weekend, spending time with loved ones, friends, and just overall, taking a moment to ourselves and having a good life. And where can everybody follow us and support us here on Happy Friday?
That's right. Thanks for your continued support over here. Mash that subscribe button right here on the YouTube so you never miss episodes. You can follow us on all the social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook at Happy Friday USA, Twitter X where the polls go up, and promo clips every Friday morning over there at Happy Fry USA. And, we do have an email, Art. It's happyfriday@gmail.com if people are old. Apparently, emails are going away. That's like a thing of the 2010s. But we still have one, so if you want to send us an email, you can do that. And until then, enjoy your 3-day weekend. Don't drink and drive. Drink responsibly. Happy Friday, America.